Commissioners, October 3rd, 2019. By way of introductions, we've got Leslie Hervey sitting in for Jackie Paniotto. Over to the right, she is the clerk to the County Commission. To my immediate right is Commissioner Todd Portune. To my immediate left is the Vice President of the Commission, Stephanie Summer-Dumas. Next to her is Jeff Aludo, County Administrator, and Michael Friedman, our County Attorney, is to his left. We'd like to start our meetings with the silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand if you can. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I will move to approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse? Yes. Commissioner Summer-Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
Thank you. We do have one proclamation or presentation today. It's for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And Commissioner Summer-Dumas, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have someone here today, Hope Carver, if you'd like to come up to the podium as I read this. And she is from Women Helping Women. This proclamation is recognized in October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month by the board, whereas the proclamation acknowledges that the Hamilton County Commissioners recognize October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And whereas in 1981, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence began National Domestic Violence Awareness Month as a day of unity to connect battered women's advocates across the county and the country. Whereas domestic violence affects millions, both women and men of every race, religion, color, and status. And whereas much progress has been made since the Violence Against Women's Act passed in 1994, this landmark legislation led by the Senator Joe Biden, combined new provisions that would hold offenders accountable and provide programs and services for victims. And whereas Women Helping Women, which was founded in 1973, prevents gender-based violence and empowers all survivors. Women Helping Women provides evidence-based prevention and expert crisis intervention and support services for survivors of dating violence, sexual violence, domestic violence, and stalking in Hamilton, Butler, Ohio counties, including sexual violence crisis services in Brown and Adams County. And whereas Women Helping Women meets the needs of our region and serves over 15,000 clients annually, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, we recognize October 2019 as Domestic Violence and Awareness Month. And Women Helping Women particularly, and I say it publicly often when I speak, actually saved my life as a survivor of domestic violence. So I thank you so much for you guys coming to accept this. So. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on in.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like to say a couple words? Uh-oh. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I will echo the comments of the Vice President, and thank you for everything that you do in this community. It's really important work, and we're so glad you're doing it in Hamilton County. So thank you for your service to the county. All right. I have no speakers cards today, which is very unusual. So I don't know if it's because we changed the time of our meeting or, but anyway, so we'll roll right into comments and motions of the commissioners. Commissioner Summer-Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a few comments just to allow the community to know some of the things that I've been doing. Last Saturday, I was involved in the Hamilton County Developmental Disability Advocacy Summit, and I was there to recognize Commissioner Todd Pertune, who was unable to be there, but they talked about so many things that he's done as it relates to that area. And also Robert Harris was there, and I was happy to be a part of that. Also, Kroger's opening ceremony took place, their ribbon cutting. It's very nice down there. I had a great time, very welcoming, and just a nice new, spacious. The vendors are awesome. The people were awesome, and you can hardly get in there now, I guess, because it's new. So, but please be sure to go and visit it. I also attended the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner, and their logo or their thought for this year was "We are the movement," and I think we need to keep that in mind, that it's up to us, each one of us, to be a part of the movement as we move forward to make things better for everyone. And I attended just this morning, and I'm sure President Driehaus will speak of this, the fire memorial today, and it was awesome, just very touching, the survivors and some of the awards that were given out. And participating in the press conference for the transportation levy also, that will be coming forth soon for our constituents to decide if they want to vote on a sales tax or not. And then the 2020 kickoff for the census, I participated in the press conference for that also. And that will end my report, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Portune.
Madam President, thank you. I may have, by the end of the meeting, a budget memo for to submit prior to the public hearing this evening. So my aide, Lisa Daria, is in the process of making some final edits to that right now, and I hope to be able to bring that in here to the body. That's the only by leave I have, though. So I'll reserve the right to come back to that at the end of the meeting if we can.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
I have a couple of things. I do want to remind people that we have a public hearing this evening at 6:30 at the Sharonville Convention Center related to the budget. And then we've got another one next Tuesday in Silverton at 6:30 related to the budget as well. So all are welcome to attend. Sorry? What did you say? And the sales tax, I'm sorry. Well, one of the recommendations of the budget is the sales tax increase. Administrator Ludo has provided us with his thoughts on that and the budget for the upcoming year, and so that will be the topic of discussion. So everyone is welcome to come and participate, give us their thoughts related to the budget and the sales tax increase, and we welcome everyone to all of these public hearings that we're having. I did what I was going to also mention, the firefighter memorial. It was very nice. We were there representing the entire commission. It's always a sobering occasion, but we had the opportunity to thank those for their service, for the families of those who have passed and the families of those that still serve and those that still serve. So it was a very nice ceremony. One other thing, the one-stop shop opened up on Friday of last week. There were many providers at that kind of inaugural event. It was at the Justice Center, and people came through who need access to the resources in the county. And so I think 100 people or so were served during their time there. We're going to do it once a month. And I just want to thank and applaud the individuals that got that together, Tom Sinan in particular. The Hamilton County Heroin Coalition obviously played a role in that. And Trina Jackson was fantastic, and the sheriff was very gracious to host it in the Justice Center. So it was really quite a success, and I think people were well served by the event, and that's the whole point of it. So I was glad that that went off without a hitch, and we will do it, as I said, once a month, and I'll continue to try to remind people that that's happening. All right, so Commissioner Portune, do you have a memo in front of you?
Actually,
you do. Okay.
Yeah, so,
all right, very good.
Madam President, thank you very much. I do have a budget memo. I'll hand the original here to our Deputy Clerk, Leslie Hervey, and send around copies. I'm not going to read through it all, Madam President. I have given orally a statement as to what is embodied in this memo already. So I just want to formally make sure that I introduce
Thank you.
the document today, and make sure everybody has a copy of that, and then we'll be able to walk through that or go over that with the public hearings
Right,
coming
okay.
up to help inform people about that. Madam President, if I may, though, I did think of two things, so if I
Yeah.
could comment on them. First of all, yesterday was a very interesting day, I know, with respect to our efforts at moving forward with a music venue at the banks, and in doing so, and the elements related thereto, be able to complete and implement elements related to the significant lease renegotiation that we were able to successfully achieve with the Cincinnati Bengals last November. I know that, Madam President, you've commented on this issue, as did I extensively yesterday and a little bit already this morning again. But I want to be very clear in terms of what I feel is next, and I think this is shared by everybody. We are moving forward to build a music venue at the banks. We're moving forward to build that music venue at the location that is preferred and was recommended by the Joint Bank Steering Committee, as well as our own planners. We're moving forward to build that music venue and work with a developer and a promoter who were also recommended by the Joint Banks Steering Committee. And we're going to do it and meet any obligations that may arise in connection with that, so that we can have opened next fall a state-of-the-art music venue at the banks, putting on acts that were contracted with, by and for, by a terrific developer, and all of that being done at a wonderful facility that will generate significant foot traffic at the banks, that is going to in turn support all of the businesses that are down there already. And we're going to do it in a way that is going to generate significant revenues for the city and the county. It's going to create thousands of new jobs, construction, as well as, when you total them all together, construction and permanent jobs that are left over. It will generate great revenues to everybody, and it's going to also result in a significant cost savings to taxpayers in connection with the lease agreement that the county has with the Bengals. What was a very, very bad deal was renegotiated in November of last year, or actually it was renegotiated for a long time, but it was concluded and we approved it in November of last year. And that renegotiated agreement, moving forward with all these component pieces, will collectively save taxpayers in excess of $300 million in obligations and payments over the next 8 years. I regret that, and I think it's a real tragedy, that the city of Cincinnati, in the form of the mayor and a majority of council members who appear to be unwilling to stand up to the mayor, even though they have the power and they have the legal authority to do so, that the mayor has chosen to object, to obstruct, to interfere, to block, at every step of the way, anything related to a music venue at the banks, other than the construction of a venue at Lot 24, and we would presume with a developer that is not the developer that was recommended by the Joint Bank Steering Committee and that we also approved. His actions, his statements, his comments have worked to prevent the music venue from being up and operational already. It would be, but for those events that began over a year ago. And as a consequence, we're not getting the revenues that we could all use now that we otherwise would have. There is not the foot traffic at the banks now as there should be, and so on. And all of that is the direct consequence of the mayor and the unwillingness of a majority of council to stand up to him, to call him out on statements that he has made that are categorically untrue. And so that's where we find ourselves today. But we are moving forward. And while we'd love to work with the city to get this done, the city has certainly demonstrated to us that it does not want to work with us on this project. And as a consequence, we're going to move forward in ways that will avoid us having to rely upon the actions of the City of Cincinnati's elected bodies, mayor and council, in order to conclude what is a tremendous plan for the benefit of taxpayers, for the benefit of the bodies of government, city, county, and the other individual jurisdictions outside of the county, for this greater Cincinnati region, and everyone who lives here, who works here, who does business here. We're going to do that because the plan that we had was a tremendous plan, but the plan that we still have is also a very good plan, and it's going to generate all of those positive elements that I just referenced. But I think importantly, we need to make absolutely clear that that project is moving forward. We are moving forward, and the other stakeholders to it outside of the city are moving forward, and we're doing so, and we'll have to do so in ways that do not engage or implicate the city of Cincinnati, but those options exist, and I'm certain that we have the ability to pursue them, and we're going to pursue them and get this project done. These are my own comments, although I do think that they reflect in the main, if not in every specific element, what the thinking is of the board. I don't presume anyone's specific action on this, but it's certainly reflective of the policies that we've adopted before now and the direction that we are moving before now. And I'm proud to be a part of that, and proud to be a part of a team that is working for the best interests of the region as opposed to serving some unknown agenda that defies logic to explain. But that is informing and guiding and controlling the actions that the city of Cincinnati is taking, has taken, continues to take, in the form of the actions and the statement of the mayor and the actions and statements of a majority of council who are unwilling to exercise the power that they have to right this terrible wrong that does exist. You know, as we're speaking about this also, I know with respect to the work we did last week on the Millennium Hotel, there is action still underway to try to bring to closure the assignment that was required. And I have spoken and communicated privately with both the port and with the developer who brought this opportunity to us all, and have encouraged them using stronger language than maybe I would like to get that deal done so that we don't lose out on this once in the history of the convention center opportunity that exists, and great opportunity. And those that are negotiating right now on it had better bring it to a successful conclusion, because if not, this will result in the loss of an extraordinary opportunity for good in our downtown with respect to convention and tourism business, and affecting so many other business opportunities throughout all of Hamilton County and in other parts of greater Cincinnati. So I guess I did have some byleaves today, but that's it. Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to expound on that. And in the process to also say, we have not broken, will not break, and are continuing to pursue the completion of our obligations as it relates to FC Cincinnati and the parking garage there. And for anybody to suggest otherwise, or to have suggested that we don't have the money to do that, and also do what we're doing at the banks, or any of the other nefarious statements that have been made over the past several days regarding that issue and that commitment that are, again, categorically untrue. We need to make sure that the record on those elements is also very, very clearly set straight. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, first of all, for the budget memo. And I want to remind both my office and the Office of the Vice President, as soon as you have something ready, please get it to us, and we'll make sure it gets distributed. And I will be coming up with one as well. And any time really during the process is fine. I think some of us, before, during, and after the public hearings is appropriate. So thank you for covering the kind of three major issues that we're dealing with at this moment. I know we've all been involved in trying to move all of the above forward. I was disappointed as well in what happened and transpired at City Hall yesterday, but I agree with you that we have no choice but to move forward because the retailers and the citizens of this community are relying on us to move forward on a music venue, hopefully get it open by October of next year, so that we have increased activity year-round down on the banks. And so I am happy to join you in that sentiment and pledge that we will continue to move forward on that, the FC Garage and the Millennium Hotel, the triumvirate that we have in front of us, here in the near future. So thank you for your comments on that.
Just like to comment,
Yes.
Madam President, as it relates to the issues that were discussed just a few minutes ago, just hopeful that the city and county can work together to a solution that everybody can live with. So that'll be my statement as it relates to that.
Thank you. There was one comment, and I didn't watch the entire proceedings, but I thought it was very unfortunate how this board was acting relative to Price Hill. I took great offense to how things were characterized. I think I speak for all three of us. None of us would have agreed to a proposal that was to the detriment of Price Hill. And the concrete facility was never, ever going to Price Hill. In fact, what was happening under the deal that we had structured was the Price Hill was going to gain green space for the completion of a park. So that also has now fallen off to the wayside. And so I think it's very unfortunate. We had many community groups in Price Hill that were supporting that land swap and the overall deal. And so I was unhappy with the characterization that we didn't care about one of the biggest and most important communities in the county. I, by the way, lived in Price Hill for 25 years, and so I'm very familiar with not only the community itself, but the people that live there. So that's enough of that, I suppose.
Madam President, on that
Yes.
on that point, though, if I may, just to elaborate, I did watch the meeting at City Hall yesterday, and I too was struck and offended by the overt efforts by the mayor and others on council to denigrate the actions of us as a board as it related to Queensgate and Lower Price Hill and Price Hill in general, when the reality is, at this stage and frankly over the past multiple weeks, the only entity that's been working to try to help Lower Price Hill secure green space to complete the park that's on the books has been Hamilton County. And the leadership in Lower Price Hill acknowledges that and has seen that the county's intent has always been in good faith and motivated by nothing other than the highest motives for the benefit of the people of Lower Price Hill, as well as all the communities in Cincinnati, Hamilton County. So much so that that there were members from the Lower Price Hill community present at council chambers whose voices were drowned out and not heard on this point. But yet there was, by members of council and the mayor, great effort taken to assert and impugn the activities of this board, our intent, our motives, and directly what we've done when, again, the leadership in Lower Price Hill will say, if asked or interviewed, that yes, the county is stepping up. They were the only ones moving to help us out. And what we were told in the beginning to be alarmed about and to be worried about is categorically untrue. And instead, the county truly is working in good faith and in a manner to benefit Lower Price Hill. And they end up, again, being another casualty in this unsupported activity being taken by the mayor and then empowered by a majority of members of City Council who appear to be unwilling to stand up to him or to exercise the authority that they do have to right that terrible wrong.
Thank you. Jeff Aludo, do you have anything, Jeff?
No bylaws today, and no comments that haven't already been stated.
All right, very good. Thank you. We have one regular agenda item. Ted Hubbard is here, county engineer. Ted, please come forward and discuss item number 1.
Good afternoon. Item one pertains to a resolution to work with Norwood on a municipal road fund project, provides funding through the municipal road fund, and so and this is for the improvement of Highland Avenue. So that's what I have for you today.
All right, are there any questions for the engineer?
No questions.
I have no questions.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ted. I will move that we approve of regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks,
I do
Ted.
have two
Oh,
real quick items,
okay.
not new items, but they came up last week.
Okay.
And I've talked a little bit about to Commissioner Fortune. We had an opportunity to talk, and I wanted to share with the commission.
Mm-hmm.
We have been trying to clean out some of our old POs, purchase orders, so that to free up some money. And the purpose of this is so that we can, what we're going to try to do is pay back some of the Ohio Public Works Commission loans that we have. Now, they're 0% loans, and some people might say, hey, why would you do that? I mean, take your time. But the truth of the matter is, we've been able to use those funds to spread our financial burden over several years. We'd like to get that money back to the Ohio Public Works Commission so other communities can do the same thing. And so I know that came up last week, and I just wanted to let the board know this is what we're doing. We probably won't pay those loans off till early next year because we'll be in another calendar year, and that can be done. But that's our purpose. And another thing I know that came up was had to do with the Keller Road Bridge in Indian Hill and the road closure. We have been working diligently with Indian Hill to advance that project. It's not a cheap project. It's an expensive project, but Indian Hill has been a great partner, and they would like the bridge replaced. And so we are going to have to close the road. Obviously, when you have a bridge, there's no real way around it most of the time. And so we've worked with Indian Hill on the detour, and they're very, very much aware of it. So,
Okay.
And they're good partners. They've been good partners on this, and we love to partner with. That's how you get things done, and I know this board understands that clearly. Without partnerships, nothing happens.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ted.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
great
Appreciate
afternoon.
Thanks for the update.
Thanks.
All right, we have items 2 through 14 on the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments related to those items?
Madam President,
Yes.
I have questions about number 11, 12, and 13. I don't know if Maura is here to answer the questions.
She is on her way. I know she was meeting with a member of our legislative delegation this afternoon. She texted me earlier, said that she does plan on being here. She's on her way.
Okay.
I can sort of relate the questions that I have. You want me to wait? I don't know.
Well, I wonder how much time before she gets here. Jeff, do you have any idea?
I don't know. I can ask.
Are these time-sensitive items, Jeff?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Are these time-sensitive items?
Yes.
I can't answer that right now, Commissioner. I know we have an executive session. We could always come out of the
Back then.
executive session. They are related to specific therapeutic services for individual cases, so I would not want to wait too long. But if we have another opportunity to get the questions answered, that might be the best way.
Okay, well, why don't we do
after the
this
exec
then?
session.
Let's approve of the other items.
Okay.
So I'm going to move to approve of items 2 through 10 and 14 on the consent agenda.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
All right, so we have basically not taken up items 11, 12, and 13. So why don't we put those on hold for the moment?
Okay.
And I will then move that we go into executive session at this time, and then we'll take those up after we come out of executive session.
Thank you,
All right.
Madam President.
So I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22G2 for property acquisition.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we will have action after. the Board of County Commissioners. We had a couple of items that we were holding until Director Weir came, and so she is here. So these are items 11, 12, and 13 on our consent agenda. So Moira, if you could come forward and address these items, we'd be grateful for that.
Madam President,
Yes.
if I may.
Yes.
We had a little time in between, so I was able to talk to Maura about the concerns that I had, and I can let the commission know.
Okay.
And she was, that's okay. So on 11, there was indicated Step Higher Incorporated, which was $400,000, that there were, and it looks like it was 4 name changes. Maura kind of looked into that. There was 1 name change, and she's going to find out why, but there were some other reasons that there had to be amendments. So it's nothing that would hold it up for me because we've worked with them before. The next one, 12, Lakeside for Children, it was $100,000 for 2 children of our children, and I was trying to find out if it included staff. Was that part of the staff cost? And Maura indicated that from
It's
your...
the per diem. These are our higher-end children. They have multi-system needs, so they're more expensive because it's in a locked facility. It's 24-hour supervision and
Sure.
care. So we pay them a per diem rate that we bid out and we procure. So that's the daily rate that costs them. It is an expensive facility.
Okay.
And it's in Michigan, so it's out of state, too.
It's out of state, okay. And lastly, Madam President, the Children's Center of Ohio, I was wondering, since it was $900,000, how many children does that impact? It's also a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week therapeutic milieu. So she's going to find that information out for me, and I was able to find out the history of these groups, and so I'm satisfied with her answers.
Okay, so ready to move forward?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Just one question.
Yes.
Director Ware, that last one, the $900,000 item, by the name of the organization involved, it leads me to believe it's in Ohio, not out of state. But do you know where in the state it is?
No, but I can find out, sorry. It is in Ohio, but I don't remember.
You don't know.
But I can find out for you.
It's not in Hamilton County, though, is that right? Or you don't even know?
I'm pretty sure it's not, but
Could
I'd
be,
rather be more certain with it.
Yeah.
I'll get you the right answer.
If you would,
Yep,
thank you.
I will.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to move then that we approve of consent agenda items 11 through 13.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our business at the moment. We have a public hearing tonight at 6:30 at the Sharonville Convention Center, and so with that, I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Madam President, I'm sorry.
We didn't get
Yeah,
that.
well, no, just one question before we conclude the voting, if I can, or maybe we'll have to start again, but it's a legal question to Mr. Friedman, as it relates to the public.
If we're, sorry. Yeah.
Well, it's just it has to do with how the meeting's noticed, and if we're doing anything other than receiving public comment on our budget, do we have to do anything else other than relative to the meeting, or I can't remember exactly how it was set up. Is it a special meeting of the board where we are okay in doing other business than just hearing public comment? That's all.
Okay, I mean, where are we at in the vote?
Commissioner Fortune?
Okay.
There's already been two
yeah,
votes cast.
I think,
But we haven't concluded it.
okay. Are you looking to take some action? Because at that point, we'd have to restart the whole thing here. Or if we're looking to take some action before the
Well,
meeting
why
tonight?
don't we conclude? Does this conversation need to happen during the meeting, or can it happen after the meeting closes? Just to make sure, I understand what you're
Yeah,
getting at. We need
well,
to make sure we're on
If
firm
we
ground.
need to take any action regarding, because, with respect to the setting of meetings, et cetera, in times past, and maybe it's not the same type of situation, but it's required the board to act to make sure that a meeting was properly noticed for what's going to occur. This meeting was, tonight, is being convened around getting public comment on the budget. But if we're going to take up any other action while we're all in session tonight, based upon what has occurred in the past, I'm just asking if we need to do anything as a board relative to amending that notice in any fashion. And if we don't, great. If we do, though, we wouldn't have time to act. We can't, this is the only time we can act.
Understood. I don't have the notice for tonight's meeting in front of me, but if it is a notice just to have a public hearing, that to me would be what would be limited at tonight's discussion. But if there is if it's notice just of a meeting at which there will be a public hearing, you could take action. I don't know. I don't have the notice
Leslie, do
in
you
front of
have
me.
it in front of you?
If you wanted to do something
I
right.
can go get it, though.
Let's go get it.
So
Okay.
before we adjourn, if we
Okay,
could just
because
take a
if you
look
need
at
to
this.
take some action for tonight's meeting, is that what you're?
That is what I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's hold for a minute and get the notice in front of
Certainly.
us so we know what we're talking about. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Copies for everybody, Leslie, or just
I'll pass them.
Yeah, with your Leslie, I'm sorry. We can just pass it down. I'll do that. Yeah. It's a special meeting of the board. And then what's listed is adjourned, considered. But it looks like it's a special meeting of the board, so I would think we're okay. But I'll let them know. I wasn't doing it on the record.
If you are, I don't know the official notice that went out. This is just what I have right here. Based on this, it looks to be a special meeting that was voted upon. And I know that there was a board resolution authorizing that special meeting. Given that context, it wasn't just to have a public hearing, it was to have a special meeting where there would be a public meeting taking place.
Right.
So if you're asking me immediately on the spot, I would say that you can conduct any business there related to what you're having the special meeting. I think you need to send out a notice of a meeting agenda update here for what may be discussed tonight, if that's the case. But given that it was, again, I have not seen the official resolution. This is
Get the
just
resolution.
an agenda here that could be changed at any point.
Not tonight's agenda. Well, we
Or
can
the
easily
legal
get the
notice that went
resolution
out.
also, if there's any doubt. I mean,
But
You need me to
Was-
sign the resolution.
the special.
That would be helpful if you have the
Meeting was for the
resolution where we
purpose
voted
of-
to have a
to
special
convene the
meeting.
special meeting. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Pull it up.
All right, we're going to take another minute here to get the resolution in front of us before we adjourn. Counselor?
Looking at the resolution that was passed September 10th, they're for public hearings and not for special meetings. So I believe if the board would like to discuss other items, you could vote for a special meeting tonight to take place where you'd have to emergency notice it at this point. If it has to be tonight, the same thing, you could vote for a special meeting tomorrow. After the 24 hours, we're going to have to do an emergency notice, but it would have to be for an emergency meeting in conjunction with the public hearing tonight.
We're, we're already past 24 hours notice of when any special meeting would take place if it were to be timely. So I guess my thought is that we do an oral motion right now and issue an emergency notice that we're going to act tonight. Since that's already scheduled and it's on the books and people have been noticed that we're convening and meeting and so on, and have been aware of tonight's meeting for several weeks now. My belief is that if we notice the special meeting element to it, coupled with the fact that we've already put out notice that we're going to meet at a certain time and place, if anyone were to question that, and I don't think they will because it's an emergency item, but if they were, we're on very, very good grounds.
Given my understanding potentially of what this is, if we could take, I'd really hate to do this, a 5-minute recess. I'd like to draft this up into a resolution to give it more force and solidify it that, to make sure that also that I can look at the emergency notification procedures on that, if that's all right with the board.
That's fine. We'll take
Okay.
5 minutes.
Thanks.
Yep. back in session after a couple of breaks. We apologize for the delay. Commissioner Portun, do you want to do this? You want me to do it?
Please do.
Okay. All right. So I am going to make a verbal motion related to our meeting tonight. We may have an emergency item come forward related to the Millennium Hotel. And so I want to verbally make the motion that we notice that for tonight's public hearing.
Second. Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Can I ask one thing? Michael Friedman, is that inclusive enough?
I would suggest that your motion be that there appears to be the need to conduct a special meeting of the board at tonight's public hearing to address a potential emergency related to the Millennium Hotel deal that may be happening tonight, and we will notice accordingly.
All right, well, I
That
will
makes
amend my
sense.
motion. I think that's what I said, but since you said it differently, let's go with your version and say that I'm amending my motion to include what our council has advised. How about that?
Second.
Okay, all right.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
All right, now I am going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Fortune?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, see everybody in a couple hours.